Hi friends, and welcome back to MV Stories. Today we'll look at a few Reddit stories. Today's story comes from the Waiting to Wed subreddit. It was posted by BubblyNote5492 and was titled, "The Ring is in Our Apartment, and I'm Getting Ready to End Things." I've 30 female been with my boyfriend, 31 male, for almost 2 years. We discussed marriage early on and seemed aligned. A few months ago, I moved in after we agreed an engagement was our next step. We picked a ring. He bought it. It's sitting in our apartment. And he even announced to his friends and family that we were ring shopping / getting engaged. Then, a couple of nights ago, he revealed that he's not sure he's ready for engagement or marriage. When I asked why, one of his reasons was that he's worried he didn't sleep around enough. He said it's a dumb reason and he'd probably regret losing me over it, which is why he hasn't ended things or cheated on me. Wow, yay, congratulations. At one point, he actually said the words, "I don't see us getting engaged in the foreseeable future, and they say when you know, and I'm not sure if you're the one." He even brought up ethical non-monogamy. I initially panicked and said I'd consider Yin-Em. I still wanted to be engaged to him. He's a good partner in many ways, and I'm pretty open-minded. So maybe? But the more I processed it, the more I started leaning towards ending things. I left the next day to stay with family to figure out my thoughts and let him know I'd be back in a week or so to talk. I think he assumes we're staying together. I have a strong feeling that when I go back, he'll have another epiphany and claim he's ready to propose just so he doesn't lose me. But I don't want a man who marries me out of fear of loss. I want someone who is thrilled to marry me. If he's this uncertain after 2 years, what's a week really going to change? Will this desire for other women just pop up again when we have kids and it's harder to leave? I'd hate to let him backtrack, now only to face this again when I'm older and even more attached. I feel so dumb for not heeding the obvious warnings. And either way, I'd always have in the back of my mind that he's just not sure. That's definitely not a quality I want in the man I'm choosing to spend my life with. While I was quite sad at first, part of me is feeling excited about dating again. Staying in this relationship would mean that I'm blocking myself from finding a better fit and settling for someone who's unsure. Leaving means I'm opening up the possibility of meeting someone who knows they can't wait to marry me and build a life together. And that's what I want. Currently, I'm working on solidifying my headspace over the next few days, so I don't get manipulated by and I don't want to lose you speech when I go back. I'm generally very empathic and understanding, but I know I need to be logical and decisive over this. He doesn't want to end it and would be very happy to continue as we are. It's not a bad life, but deep down I think I'd regret settling for this. Reading posts here has been comforting and clarifying and has helped me feel more ready to walk away. Hopefully someone feels comforted by this post in some way too. Send me luck and strength for when I go back in a few days to break the news. Edit. Update. I called him and ended things. I realized I needed to schedule the move out with our building. Otherwise, there'd be no parking for the truck, and he'd be notified automatically then anyway, so figured I'd just do it over the phone and get it over with. I felt a bit guilty about a phone breakup, but realistically, he just told me he no longer sees us getting engaged and wants to sleep with other people. So perhaps I'm not the one who should feel any guilt here. He was a bit shocked and asked some questions, but I was very final and basically said, "We want different things, so this just makes sense." I really appreciate your honesty. This way we can both find what we want. I have a better move-out plan now, too. My mom is driving back with me Saturday morning with a U-Haul, and she'll be there to help me pack everything ASAP and get out. Very glad I won't have to spend any time alone with him or any more nights in the apartment. I can update again after the move when I'm all in the clear. Relevant comments. Commenter 1 says, "What would change if he gave you a ring now? He'd still be exactly the same guy. It's just now you have a pretty ring." Hope you replied, "Yup, and even if he seemed like he changed, I'd always have this in the back of my mind. Can't really come back from this, so the only real way forward is ending things." Commenter 2 says, "The truth of the matter is you'll never see him the same now. Even if you go back, the way he spoke to you, the flippancy with which he brought up non-monogamy, the casual cruelty of saying you should be grateful he hasn't cheated on you, his immature and disrespectful desire to sleep around more will all ring in your head each time you look at him. It's irrecoverable, which is a great gift to you. Hold on to the hope you have for your future and get out of there. Better to be single than to be engaged to a man who is just plain gross. Replied, I agree. I'm glad he was so honest because it makes the decision very obvious for me. It would be dumb to stay, and I'd have no one to blame but myself after hearing what's on his mind. Commenter 3 says, anyone else think he cheated on her? 1. Suddenly does not want to get married. 2. He hasn't slept around enough. And 3. Let's try non-monogamy. Opie replied, it's definitely a possibility. After what he said, I guess I wouldn't be shocked to find out he actually did cheat. Either way, he's already revealed more than enough info for me to know that he's not the man I want to spend my life with. Commenter 4 says, that guy's going to look like an idiot in front of his family, and he deserves it. Having the ring right there in the apartment and telling you he isn't sure, that's just cruel. Don't waste your time on a moron who thinks women will line up to sleep with him, instead of realizing how lucky he is to have you in his life. Opie replied, thank you. He was lucky to have me, and he knows it. But he's not ready for marriage, at least not with me. I'm glad my eyes have been open now, instead of years down the line. Commenter 5 says, he's willing to lose you over his concerns. I'm glad you're ending it. You deserve better. If you had agreed to an open relationship, I bet you anything he would have problems if you started getting more attention in dates. I've read enough relationship columns where that scenario's become a cliche. Opie replied, even worse. He said that even though he knows it's not fair, he'd prefer an E&M relationship where only he sleeps around because he wouldn't be happy with other men being with me. I should have broken up with him that second, but I guess my feelings temporarily got in the way. There's no way to come back from that now, though. Commenter 6 says, girl run. He just told you the truth finally. Be glad he didn't trap you with marriage and kids. Be sad for a while, then be free. You are going to find a better partner than one who didn't get laid enough. Commenter 7 says, haven't slept around enough? That's a new one for this sub that I've seen. I almost threw up in my mouth. Opie, be warned. After he's been out there for 6 months or so, and hasn't been able to get laid nearly as much as he wants, and feels cold and lonely, good chance he'll come slithering back like the snake he is. Don't be stupid. Don't take him back. Nothing will have changed other than that he realized he's not getting nearly as much sex as he thought he would. Opie replied, I'm loving people's disgust at his desire to sleep around. It's helping me further develop the ick about him. Thank you for making me chuckle. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all if he tried to reach out after a while. I have no plans to take him back because I don't think I could ever get over what he said. There's so many men out there, it would be silly to get back with one who has already proven himself to be a bad fit. Update. A few people wanted updates, so I'm back to share. Long story short, I ended things and moved out. Long story long. Moving out went surprisingly well. He helped pack and carry boxes, gifted me some expensive things he bought for us while we lived together, etc. Then at one point we were alone, and he did the speech some suspected would happen. Things like, he loves me, doesn't want to lose me, it was so hard not talking to me this week. I'm his favorite person, etc. I told him I appreciate it, but we just want different things, so ending it is the right choice. He said he doesn't think our wants are that different in the grand scheme of things. I told him our timelines are different then, and he said he doesn't think our timelines are that different. I said something about how either way, he's not ready now. We're in our 30s, it's been 2 years, he still thinks he needs more experiences. Edit. In case you didn't see my last post, he said he felt like he hadn't slept with enough women yet, etc. And I'm just not willing to wait for him to decide. I want someone who knows what they want. He said he didn't want me to leave, but understood why I was doing it. He admitted he thought about doing a grand gesture to keep me, but knew it wouldn't be right given his uncertainty. He said something about how he's going to try to get this out of his system, and he knows I'll be living my life / might meet someone else, but to not be surprised if he reaches out to try to get back together. Another accurate prediction from some of the sub-members. Overall, he said many kind things and was pretty reasonable. He cried, which made me cry, but at no point did I waver in my decision in the slightest. Even though it's sad and obviously not the outcome I wanted after 2 years, I'm still 100% confident that leaving was the correct thing to do for me. I guess you should never say never, but I honestly don't see us getting back together, even if he has a transformation. I think it would be hard to feel safe and secure in a relationship with him again after this. I don't think he's a bad guy, just a bit immature and indecisive, and ultimately not what I'm looking for. Now I'm just getting settled in my new place. I'm lucky to have family with spare rooms, and taking a bit of a pause before I start dating again. On one hand, I feel ready to get back out there with more clarity than ever. But on the other hand, I'm not sure that it's a great idea / look to be dating 2 weeks after ending a 2-year relationship. So I'll give it a bit of time and then use the lessons I learned in this relationship to spot red flags earlier on and make better dating choices. Thanks again for all the supportive comments on my first post. Reading them really helped me feel even better and more confident in my choice. I really appreciate everyone. Thank you. Relevant comments. OP on her ex and his confident levels. OP says, yeah, he says he had poor social skills / was pretty overweight / was kind of hermit for much of his younger years. And then just in the past few years, he lost some weight and started feeling more confident. I guess now he thinks he needs to try to relive the youth he missed out on or something. It is kind of embarrassing, isn't it? Plus, he says he was socially awkward and pretty overweight and kind of a hermit for most of his life, and only lost weight and developed more confidence about a few years before we met. I can't remember how many women he said he slept with. I believe it was over 7 and under 15. He was still a bit overweight when we met, and he gained some weight throughout our relationship. I didn't love it, but I was okay with it. BC, I liked him for other reasons. But I can't say that he's super hot. He is tall, though. Based on what he's told me about his dating experiences / what I know about what men generally experience, I don't think he'll be drowning in options. Commenter says, the thing that gets me is the line of, I need more experiences. What the fuck does that mean? I've been married almost 36 years, and I get antsy and want more experiences. My husband is not as adventurous. Guess what? We do most of our experiences together. That's the point of being in a relationship. I have also had many experiences by myself when my husband was unable to join me. I have also experienced a lot of things with other family and friends. Getting married is an adventure itself. You don't stop having experiences because you get married and settle down. I can't tell you how many things I've experienced as the mother of 4 children. I'm talking hiking, biking, outdoor and indoor activities and trips. What he really means is that he doesn't want to give up the idea of dating more women. I bet that is what he really meant. He doesn't have an out if he's married to you and decides he's interested in someone else. That's a no-go. But the I want more experiences excuse by itself is just that, an excuse. Opie replied, he absolutely meant he wants to sleep with more women. He actually explicitly said that 1.5 weeks ago when we first had the conversation that made me go stay with family to get some space / clarity on what I was going to do next. He suggested ethical non-monogamy so he could sleep with more women while keeping me around. No thanks. Opie should consider about getting therapy for herself so she can move forward in a healthy way. Opie says, thank you. And yes, I think therapy can be so great. I worked with an excellent therapist a few years ago. She helped me so much. I wouldn't have been able to walk away so quickly without the time I spent working on myself with her. I stopped seeing her when she went on mat leave, and then I never restarted. I'll think about looking into her availability again sometime. Opie responds to a comment about how her ex was considering about ethical non-monogamy. Opie replied, he asked if I consider yin. Yes. Part of me knew what I was going to do right away, but I wanted to give myself some space to process because it takes me a while sometimes. This convo was in the evening, and I left the next day to stay with family. Broke up with him before I returned to the apartment. Why on earth did I talk to him while he cried? I guess because I'm not able to immediately go from wanting to marry someone to being completely indifferent to their tears. I cry at commercials and children's movies. I'm not that stoic. We spent 2 years together and had a lot of good times. Believe it or not, he did a lot of nice things for me. Consistently took me on nice dates he planned, paid attention to things I mentioned liking and bought them for me for holidays, or just randomly put a lot of effort into helping me achieve personal goals, etc. None of that makes me okay with his lack of desire to marry me / his desire for more partners, though, which is why I broke up with him. But I don't just hate him all of a sudden. The second story is from Am I the A-hole subreddit. It was posted by Antique Pianist 7765 and was titled, Am I the A-hole for not defending my wife when my sister called her fat? My sister, 27 female, was visiting my wife, 32 female, and me, 33 male, the other day. An important thing to note about my sister is that she has a child, 5 male, with her now ex-boyfriend, 27 male. When my sister found out she was pregnant, she told her then boyfriend that she was pregnant. He wanted to marry her in a shotgun wedding of sorts, but my sister said no. The only information she offered up was that there was no way they would be compatible in the long term, and I don't think it's any of my business to probe or question her about it. Soonly after, my sister and her boyfriend broke up, but they established a healthy co-parenting relationship, and both now have 50-50 custody with stable, well-paying jobs and live close by to each other. My wife strongly thinks that my sister should have gotten married and hates that my sister refers to her ex-boyfriend as her baby daddy. I don't think my sister really cares that she had a child out of wedlock, but every time my wife meets my sister, she brings up the fact that she should try to get her boyfriend back and ask him to propose again, and asks why she does not want to marry him, especially since my sister has been single these past 5 years. It has gotten to the point that she has told me privately that she is fed up with this and has asked me to speak to my wife about this, which I have. The other day, my sister visited my wife and I at our house. We were having a normal conversation, and my sister was talking about her son entering kindergarten and all the ways she was preparing him. The convo seemed pretty mundane until my wife once again brought up that my sister should try to get married at the courthouse with her ex-boyfriend, and that the other parents would view her as immature and would think of her child as illegitimate if she didn't. Before I could even jump in and say anything to diffuse the situation, my sister was raging and said that my wife should worry about her fat self and losing 100 pounds before worrying about her child, and that a ring can't hide her triple chin, and to worry less about her going to the courthouse and more about the gym. My wife has always been on the bigger side, and I absolutely love and adore her, but it is one of her biggest insecurities. She ended up sobbing while my sister grabbed her things and left. This whole argument took around 2 minutes, and I froze up and didn't really know what to do. After my sister left, my wife asked why I didn't say anything to defend her to my sister. I was honest and said I thought that she was wrong for calling my sister immature and her child illegitimate. While I acknowledged it was wrong for my sister to make the comment she did, I don't think they were completely unprovoked. My wife is now giving me the silent treatment. So, Reddit, am I the a-hole? Relevant comments. Commenter 1 says, so did you freeze up or not say anything BC you felt it wasn't unprovoked? Opie replied, I froze up during the argument because I was shocked by it all. As my sister is not the angry type at all, this is the second time in my life I have seen my sister angry. I reasoned it out after my sister left. Commenter 2 says, a bit of an a-hole, but not because you didn't defend your wife, but because you didn't manage her to stop insulting your sister and her kid. She is basically calling him a bastard, translation of illegitimate. Not cool. Edit, is she a type, but I am a Christian? Otherwise, I can't understand why she just doesn't let it go. Edit 2. Both parents are cool with situation and have a good parenting relations. I admire your sister that at such a young age, she was able to make such a wise decision. Opie replied, yes, she's Christian. Commenter 3 says, tough one. On the one hand, your sister finally bit back and bit back good after years of attacks by your wife. On the other hand, happy wife, happy life. Is your wife reasonable in general? Like if you talk with her and explain that what your sister said was below the belt. But on the other hand, so is 5 years of suggesting that your sister should give up her happiness because otherwise her sister-in-law might see her child as illegitimate, and that your sister has, throughout the years, communicated in many ways that she wasn't going to follow that advice and that she didn't appreciate the constant poking. Not the a-hole. Opie replied, she is usually pretty reasonable, but she is not talking to me now. Top commenter says, your wife sounds awful. Yes, the a-hole for letting her keep disrespecting your sister and her son for so long. Commenter 4 says, I mean, damn, if your wife is going to be judgy and give out unsolicited advice, she's got to be able to take it being handed back. This has got to be something that was bothering your sister for a while, and she just snapped. I think she was mean OFC, but like, sometimes you've got to reach that point for the other person to finally get it through their head. Update. I read your comments, and it is clear that you think I am an asshole for not defending my sister, and think I am not an asshole for not defending my wife. I have called my sister and apologized. She was pretty gracious and accepted my apology. I told my sister that I think she is a great mother and a saint for dealing with these comments for so long. I did not demand that she make an apology to my wife. For those of you concerned that my nephew hears these remarks, I want to make it clear that when my wife has made these comments, she made them either when my sister's ex had custody or when my nephew was in another room. Not to excuse the comments, but to address concerned Redditors. As for my wife, she has stopped giving me the silent treatment. She called her mom, my mother-in-law, and after she told her the situation, her mom really chewed her out. She did apologize to my sister, not just for the most recent incident, but for all of the rest of them. My sister also apologized for the comments she made. My wife and I had a discussion about why she was so fixated on my sister being an unmarried mother. Apparently, some of her more religious friends were judging her for having an unmarried sister-in-law, and she projected that insecurity onto my sister. She also admitted to being jealous of my sister, as she was able to have a child, which is a dream of ours. Due to my wife's weight, it is nearly impossible for us to conceive a child. She also expressed general envy for my sister when it came to things like looks, her job, her maturity. I made it clear that these comments about my sister's marital status should not be made in the future. While I personally think what my sister said was harsh and out of anger, I do not think it is unjustified. She snapped after years, and y'all made it clear that she would be extremely justified to go no contact. So I'm happy that she did not make that decision. I plan on going to marital counseling with my wife. I have reaffirmed that I think she's absolutely beautiful and that we will work through these insecurities together. I want to use this situation to create a stronger marriage and a better relationship with my sister. Note for why wife can't get pregnant easily without too much detail. She is PCOS and has a BMI significantly over 40. Wanted to get wife's consent to share about the PCOS. Relevant comments. Commenter 1 says, hey, that's great and all, but what does your wife's weight have to do with her ability to get pregnant? Unless she's incredibly morbidly obese, it should not at all be an issue. Opie replied, she is PCOS as well, and, combined with the weight, is nearly impossible. Commenter 2 says, I'm happy she apologized to your sister. Info. Did your wife read the comments on the first post? Opie replied, she did. She was shocked and ashamed. Commenter 3 says, after reading the original, your wife needs new friends if they're pushing their judgment of your sister onto her and individual therapy. Commenter 4 says, sounds like a whole lot of excuses to be nasty. Her friends were judging her for having an unmarried sister-in-law. Did we time travel back to 1950? Good grief.